Hi there, Let's Talk Sports fans. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of our sports calling show. And the only guy what I could ask to do this show with me, Mr. Nick Bodkins. Thanks for joining me today.
Always, brother. Last week was a success as always, and a great time. And we're back here week 2 with the call-in show. So I'm excited. See what the listeners got to say and the topics that are going to come up. So, yeah, let's do this thing, man. Before we get started, make sure you guys check out the Let's Talk Sports show last night. It was a great time with myself, Tanner, and Johnny, and I couldn't, Mr. First Down Sam, and we had some great guests, Jay from the Rec Room Sports and John from Sideline Sports were joined us as well, as we kind of talked a lot of NBA finals, and then obviously the draft next week. So we kind of talked a lot about that, so that was last night. So after this, should check that out, please, right here on the Let's Talk Sports Network.
Yeah, please do. If you haven't checked out the Let's Talk Sports show, you're missing out. Any sport you could wish to cover, it is on there, and probably some more besides. So be sure to check it out. I know Hannah's got plans for the NBA draft, and there's always something happening in sports, and it's well worth the price of admission for just Bodkins and Sam button heads. So we've got a wide range of questions: college football, baseball, NFL, and even one soccer question, Nick. So if we jump right in, we've got a question from our guy Alan, and surprisingly, it is not the Cowboys. So I'll just play it for you. And
is it an Eagles question?
Sadly not. I guess he didn't feel about asking about his favourite team, but it is a college football question, and particularly wants your answer, Nick. So, yeah, we'll see what he has to say.
What's going on, guys? I love the show. Hope you guys are doing well today. My question is this for Nick. You're a Big Ten guy with all the news of the SEC and everything going on with the scheduling and whatnot. How are you feeling about USC and UCLA coming to the Big Ten, and should Notre Dame follow suit? Let me know what you think. See y'all. Have a great day.
Thanks for that, Alan. And Nick, what have you got to say on that?
Man, it's that the UC. It's crazy to me. I'm an old-fashioned Big Ten guy. Like I like the Midwest, part, and then I just kind of miss that everything was regional, right? The Big Ten was the Midwest for the most part. The SEC was, really the Southeast, and then you had the Big 12 that was kind of really all of Texas mixed in with some other Midwest schools, and then the Pac-12, and then you had the Big East and the ACC as well out there. But now it's just getting crazy. UCLA and USC, hey, I guess we get Caleb Williams. UCLA is kind of on the up and up. It's just hard to get those games. Those two teams are really hard for me to watch or get into because they're not part of our rivalries. I guess we're going to start new rivalries, right? I mean, we started a new rivalry with Nebraska when they came in, as far as being an Iowa fan. So it'll be interesting. It'll be good for the Big Ten because, some guys they can recruit a little bit better out on the West Coast outside of Ohio State. And we'll see how good USC and UCLA are going to do. The Pac-12 is kind of a joke. Those were the two major teams in the Pac-12. I felt like as far as Notre Dame, for the longest time, I felt like they should have been part of the Big Ten. But now they're in the ACC for the most part. It's weird how their AC their basketball teams in the ACC, but then their football teams plays part of the ACC, I believe. Notre Dame, I think, is eventually going to have to join a conference as we keep divvying out these huge conferences and making conferences, bigger. Eventually it might break off to where it's just like three conferences. You have the Big Ten. It's not, why is it even still called the Big Ten anymore? Because there's like 20 schools instead of 10. And, it'll be interesting. I'm a little surprised that those two teams came to the Big Ten, but why not continue to be in the Pac-12? But the Pac-12 is not getting into any playoffs. So they figure if they can go to the Big Ten and get some chance to the playoffs, and it's all about money. So they got the Big Ten Network as well, and the revenue sharing. So it's all about money, and those are two big schools, and as well. So all the other schools get to go make that money. But like eventually, I would like to get rid of Rutgers. They need to be out of the Big Ten. Really, UCLA and USC probably should have never came to the Big Ten. I'd like to get back to the way it was, but maybe I'm just stuck in my ways because that's how it's always been. But it's hard to get some of these. Nebraska made sense as far as geological standpoint, or even Missouri. But some of these schools that we're adding just don't make sense geographically. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree, Bo. Like I think they could fail as a conference at this point. There's who's in the Deion Sanders at Colorado might be the only reason to tune into a Pac-12 game.
I agree. I mean, I'm not a big one for teams jumping about, but I do feel now it's happened. There has to be some sort of remodel of the system. It seems like it's just going on, and that they will eventually react. But I would like to see this taken care of sooner than later. I think it's to the detriment of some of the smaller teams because it just makes them go down the ladder slightly. But it's going to be interesting how this affects the conferences. And I agree with you, it is all down to money, and that is always going to happen in any sport. Anything comes down to money. So it's going to be interesting how these conferences shake up in the next year or so. So Nick, Alan adds a comment. Great show today, guys.
Put your
No,
drinking boots on. Put your big drinking pants on if you're going to hang out with Tanner and the Buffoons. I can tell you that.
I'm gonna say I'm a little worried about Alan. Alan, you can text or call me anytime with a safe word if you need help. Have a great time. And Hannah told me this at the beginning of the week, and I love this. Much like when Johnny and Nick met up, and Tanner and Nick, real life connections made from long online connections. It's what LTS is all about.
No doubt. And Italy Jet, I'm going to try to meet up with him when I go to St. Louis. We're only like an hour and a half away. I just don't get up to St. Louis a whole lot.
Yeah, love that. So one topic what wasn't on the agenda, what it has come down. Scott wants to ask our opinions on the 25 game suspension of Jar. I think it's a little weak, but not surprising. I know people would have thought strong, but I wouldn't have even minded the whole season. But that being said, he is a star player, as you saw with the first suspension. They don't want to see him banned just because they want their star players on the court. So it's not entirely surprising, but would it be to his betterment that you can take him off the court and maybe get him some sort of intervention? Because I think there's more going on mentally in his life than maybe uh, people realise. What's your thinking on this, Nick?
Yeah, so I was looking. So one of the I was trying to one of them. I guess like parallel is Gilbert Arenas. Like right, like remember him and Critton brought in guns actually into the locker room, and had some problems. And I was looking, they got 50 games in 2010. So I mean, it's been 13 plus years since that incident. So I was just kind of seeing um, where it was and like kind of comp to what Jaws was. So Jaw didn't have guns in the locker room that we know of, or at least never got caught with guns in the locker room. So I mean, we were hearing 40 games. So 25 is a little bit I thought it'd be a little harsher, but it seems to be kind of right, still a good chunk. I think if the next time it's like that, I think it could be indefinitely if he's caught with something the next time. But 25 games is a decent chunk. I think most people thought 40. But we've always, in 2010, that was David Stern who suspended Gilbert Arenas. And we've all heard that Adam Silver's a little softer and more friendlier with the players than David Stern is. So I think this is kind of right about, roughly what, 25 games is still. Is it too much? No. Is it too little? Possibly, but 25 seems to be, to me, makes sense.
I agree, but reality is he is a star player, so they don't want it to happen. I would hope that he takes this as a let off, and maybe it doesn't happen again. I'm not highly confident of that. I think the fact that it is a lesser ban maybe emboldened him into thinking he can get away with it. We will see. I'm not even confident it won't happen again before the NBA starts camp, to be honest with you. So I hope it works out for him. He's got too much talent to see it get wasted, and like you alluded, an indefinite ban. That would be such a shame to see such a talent wasted. So let's hope he can correct some things in his life.
Yeah, he's got to find some new friends.
Yeah.
And put some of the right people around him. That's for sure. Or I mean, it could be, if you listen to Stephen A. I said this on last night's show. Stephen A. said there's people around his circle that don't believe the kid will live to see 30, and that's how fearful they are. So you would hate to see a tragedy like that. A kid who's got all the talent in the world and could really do something special, often on the court. Because it's not the guns, it's these other things that have happened with Jaw too. You hear the, beating up a 17-year-old kid, going to Foot Locker, waving a gun and harassing people at Foot Locker, harassing the Pacers trainer or somebody like that. So, all these different things where, his attitude, something has shifted in him. And you just hope that he can come back from this and learn from it, because clearly he didn't do that the first time, and hopefully he can get the help that he needs as far as mentally and becoming a good young man that we think that he can be on and off the court.
Yeah, I agree. And those people in his circle, what do believe he might not reach 30, do something to intervene, help him. I hope it does work out. And Bo adds, it's great for Grizzly fans, but not strong enough stance from the league, which is pretty much what we've already said. So an update from Alan. He adds, to make it worse, he hasn't drunk since Dallas lost to the 49ers in playoffs. So you're going rusty. You better get ready to man up, Alan, because the buffoons will make up for lost time in regard to that, Alan.
I know from experience. Yeah, you got to put on your big boy drinking pants on.
So a couple of questions. So Alex Simpson sent me a voice message, but you can't upload that slash download it. So he wants to know, is it concerning for the 49ers that they haven't got quarterback? What's made it through the regular season not injured. So, yeah, that struck me by surprise. But when I think about it, Darnold hasn't played the full season, so it is a concern. But that being said, if you're 49ers fan, you hope at least one out of Trey and Purdy's available. It's small sample size, especially with Brock, because he's only had one season. So, look, would I have went for veteran? What's maybe got a bit more worthy shot at least being the number two? I probably would have done, but hopefully you'll be all right. Nick, do you think this is an issue in regard to the health of their quarterbacks? Because it seems like every year it's an issue in one way or another.
Yeah, it seems like but they got three of them. So, they made it to the NFC Championship game with all three different quarterbacks last year starting in games. And then till Purdy got hurt. Yeah, I think Brock will be fine if he can come back and just, play football like he was last year. We still don't know about Trey Lance. I mean, Sam Darnold's missed a game or two here, but as long as, two of them are healthy in the playoffs. So if you get to the playoffs, you'll be fine. Seems like they're kind of high on Sam. I do think it's Brock Purdy's. It seems like it's Purdy's time, but they got to figure out this Trey Lance situation because they gave up all the pieces to get him. And they gave up, they drafted him third overall. Now that we just don't know what to do with Trey. So I don't really know. I mean, they have three capable quarterbacks in a weak NFC, so I don't know if they should be worried as long as all three of them, at least two of them, can stay healthy and into the playoffs. And I think you're going to want that. It'll be interesting to kind of how that depth chart pans out and where they put Trey Lance. Is Trey Lance going to be third string, Alec? I see him in the comments there because it seems to me that Purdy's the guy, and is it Darnold going to be the backup and then Trey Lance, or how's that going to go? So it'll be interesting to see how those three play out on the depth chart.
Yeah, I know 49ers fans were going crazy last weekend because there's been a few interceptions thrown by Trey, which OTAs I don't put a massive stock in them, but there comes a time where it could be noteworthy, like when Carson Wentz was doing it and it happened. But that being said, as Alec pointed out to me at the weekend, Jimmy G threw, I believe it was 5 straight picks, and that season he took them to a Super Bowl. So, if it's still an issue come the games, then that's not going to be good for them given the capital they use. But it's time for Trey to step up, and we will see, I guess. Would you be worried? Are you worried about him throwing picks in OTAs, or do you feel it's too early to judge him there?
Yeah, I don't, me, Dan, I don't really care about OTAs, anything, like, just as long as everybody's healthy. Like, that's the thing. I think at OTAs and things like that, you're probably forcing the ball, just to see in different situations. And plus that defense, I mean, a lot of guys throw interceptions, in OTAs and throw a lot of interceptions against that defense. So, yeah, I don't see any problems with that. I see some of the comments here. Lance has to play week one. Surely, I don't know, Alec, man. I think if Brock Purdy gets cleared to go, he's starting week one. And then I see Bo out there saying they'll let him play a few games. But why, if Purdy's their guy, they want to play Purdy because he's their guy, Bo. Like, that's the thing, is like, you can't, the season's so short, you can't just, hey, let's just play Lance 2 or 3 games. They ain't got that. Because the season's 17 games, you can't mess up, the margin for error is very thin. So you can't just be like, hey, we're going to let the Lance play a game or two just so we could try to trade him. Like, hopefully what you do is just try to get him out the door anyway. If he is fit, though, that's the thing. I don't know if he is. It's kind of being depending on who you read there, Alec. You're the 49ers guy, but from everything I've seen just on the outside looking in, is that rumors are that Brock could be ready for Week 1. So that's kind of what the reports I've been hearing. So I mean, you guys might be hearing something different. It depends on who you read and where you get your information from. So it'll be interesting. I mean, we still got 3 months to go. I mean, we're in June, so we got July, August. Season starts in September there, so we got really 2 months. I think preseason will tell us a lot, and after we get to Labor Day, obviously, when we get to Labor Day, I think we'll have a more clear picture. Right now, it seems to be a little bit muddy because I've heard Sam Darnold's just lighting it up too. So it could be, move past Trey. So who knows?
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I do feel much like you, it's Brock's job to lose because he's shown that he can do it in a bit more of an extended run. I'm worried about trade, to be honest with you, and it's not good for his future.
Trey Lance hasn't played meaningful football and
No,
played a full season of football in 4 years. And
yeah,
you don't get better at something by not doing it. Like the last time he played was 2019, sat out all 2020. His rookie year was 21, didn't play played 2 games. Last year he played 2 games. Like he hasn't played more than 6 games in 3 years. You don't get better at something by not doing it. You can sit and watch TV, watch the video, you can practice. You need those game reps. You need all that stuff. And it might be too little too late. And Brock Purdy, who played all the time at Iowa State, played last year. So I think, I think they're going to be pretty darn, I think I would go with Brock Purdy, and if he's healthy.
yeah, I do agree with that. So Scott adds see, can we say he is a bust? Which look, we can't there, but
I don't
we're
think so.
right
Not yet. Not
for
yet. Right? Like, I mean, what's this? What's been the issue? A bust to me is a guy that just couldn't cut it in the league. We don't really know if he can or can't yet. So we just know he can't get on the field. That's what we do know.
yeah, I do agree, and it seemed like all the reports was that he would be fit for week 1, and then it could be that he maybe isn't recovering as fast. But my hunch is Carl Shanahan, being what he is, maybe muddied the water a little bit just to play a little bit of mind games, and he'll probably be good to go week 1. I could be wrong, but that's where I think some of the misinformation is coming from.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. Um, before we get to Mark's question, Boaz Darnold works as QB2 because you don't have to change the offense from.
Yeah, I probably agree to that too. And with Trey Lance, they're going to do a lot of that. QB options and things like that. I don't, you're not going to do a whole lot of that with Purdy or Darnold, but both good enough to, quick with their legs to extend plays. And I think we're getting kind of back out of that read option and those types of things. And we're getting back into running the football with the running back a little bit. So I think you're kind of right there, Bo.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So, Mark Meredith from the Original Sports podcast adds, will Messi be good for soccer in the US and grow the sport? I've had this question a little bit. I know we're just fans was talking that as well. I think it won't, because one side of it, what they asked is, will more players opt to come and look? But
No,
Asian players
I
will
don't
have
think so.
to look for a bit of a payday. I think a few might, but I think its biggest benefit is maybe attract a few more youngsters to take up the sport, which will obviously you won't get the payment from for a few years. So I think that might be its biggest reward, just get more eyes on the league. But from Nick, from someone what's based in the country, how do you feel the effect will be?
Yeah, I get into this same type of situation. My uncle, who's a soccer coach and loves the game of soccer, I don't. I don't think it's going to grow. I don't think soccer is going to grow as much until the U.S. is just absolutely dominant and like wins the World Cup. I don't think we're going to grow that much because football's king here, and our kids grow up watching and playing football. I think it'll get a few eyes. It's cool. You know, maybe a few people will tune into the MLS to watch Messi. But let me list the players. Pele came to the U.S. once. Did that change? Did that grow the game? Pele, one of the greatest soccer players of all time. David Beckham's come in recent years. Did that grow the game? Did people really tune in? Did we really care? Nope. Zoltan, is it Zoltan?
Yeah, yeah, Ibrahimovic, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
he came and played in the U.S. Like, did that grow the game and do wonders for the MLS? I mean, maybe it increased by a few hundred, but you know, it didn't like expand the game. Everybody play. You know, when people play soccer here in America, when they're 6, after they turn 8, they go to football. That's just kind of how it is. It's not it's not ever gonna be America's sport. I don't think it's going to grow a whole lot. Messi, hey, he got money, but even younger players, when they come to, you know, if they grew up here in the States, and we got a nice young American team right now, but for the most part, guess what? We don't know. Even when we watch the World Cup, we really don't know a lot, unless you're like into the game. The casual fan like myself doesn't really know the players. We just rooting for our country. And we learn the players as we go. But here's the thing: overseas in Europe, they're getting paid millions more than where the MLS is ever going to pay them. And you know, soccer's king over there, where it's not king over here. So we have football. I don't really know how much Messi's going to change that. I don't think it's going to do a whole lot. Maybe like I said, people might tune in, but then you got to pay the subscription to Apple TV. If I had Apple TV already, I might tune in to watch Messi play. But other than that, I don't really think so. Or if he's playing in a championship game, doesn't matter. Does Messi don't need the MLS? The MLS needs Messi. Like, that's the thing. There's just no other names. So I don't really think it's going to grow the game a whole lot over here. I don't really think he's going to do a whole lot of numbers over here as far as people viewership. I couldn't even tell you outside of, I know it's on Apple TV. Other than that, I don't even know where you could watch MLS at. I know they got the Premier League and things like that you can watch on USA sometimes, but other than that, man, I just don't foresee it growing a whole lot over here just because he's here. Plus, he's past his prime. He's played his best days of being king of the world and king of soccer are kind of, at the tail end here. And this is just, America gets to kind of get to know him and see him play up close. But, and Miami will make some good money off of it. And he's going to get a lot of money from Miami. And he got partnership dealership out of, the Apple TV subscription, which is cool. So I just don't foresee it really growing the game a whole lot more than what it has.
Yeah, I agree with that. Look, he come to the US, but he turned down bigger money because his family didn't want to go to Saudi Arabia, so he come so he can be the main guy and earn a nice bit of money, and his family can live out in the States, which is nice. And it didn't really work in France for him. In some part, he wants to be the main guy, and he no longer was. So it sort of fits both sides. He can play in somewhere where he can have a nice lifestyle, and for the US, a few more eyes on the league. But I don't think it'll be like he comes and loads of other players come. Even your homegrown players, most of them leave, and that's part of the issue. Even like for US fans, they want to see the big US players in your own league, and I think that switches some people off as well that they're not.
Yeah, 100%.
So Scott's got a question for you before we get to some more calls. He wondered, could Aaron Jones um see can he be a top 10 back this coming season?
Like in fantasy, Scott, or or rate like in like the NFL. I don't really know. I mean, the offensive line was atrocious. I don't really feel like it was Aaron's fault last year. I feel like either Aaron Jones, Aaron Rodgers. I feel like the offensive line was awful. I think they need to get back to Jones and Dillon. It's always said both. I think he's probably a top 10 fantasy guy, especially if he can start getting some more balls out of the backfield and, on the screen game and lining him up. They got to do a little bit more. I think you'll see him be a lot heavier in the pass, because I think that, Aaron would throw the ball down a little bit more when hopefully maybe Love will check it down to Jones, and they'll tell him, hey, just check it down. Jones is open, and maybe they'll do a little bit more. I think he can, because I think they're going to have to run the ball a lot with Jones and Dillon to keep help Love out. What's the best thing for a young quarterback? A good running game. So we're going to have to be able to run the ball well. So I think it's very possible that he could be top 10 running back in both, in fantasy and regular.
Yeah. I agree. And before we get to a question from our and Ryan Larison, we got Packers question from Bo, so I'll just play that as Scott's question plays into that. So let's see what he's got to say.
Hey guys, Bo here. So this one is for Nick, since he's the resident Green Bay fan. Are you as excited about the Jordan Love experiment as Romeo Dobbs?
Hey, if Love was throwing me the ball, Bo, I would be just as excited as Romeo is. Unfortunately, he's not throwing me the ball, and so I'm not as excited at all. So there's that, Bo. I don't really know how to feel. Everybody always asks me, how do you feel about Jordan Love? Well, I can tell you this. I've said this 1,001 times. I'll say it blue in the face. It's week 1 this year. Aaron Rodgers gave us the best chance to win. Well, he's no longer on the roster, so now we're going to find out what Jordan Love can do. Hopefully, it works well for him. I hope you're right. Ryan is the most positive, person in my life right now talking about the Packers. So, I hope Ryan's right, and because I think we're a 6-win to 8-win team, and I am not hopeful. I just hope the kid can play a little bit and can improve. But I am not as excited as Romeo Dobbs. I'm not out here saying that we can do this. I mean, to Romeo's defense, he said we could do the same thing that we did with Aaron that we can do with Jordan. I was like, well, what's that? Miss the playoffs? Because that's what you're going to do. So, I mean, he may not be wrong in that sense.
It's funny. He wasn't saying how well Jordan was throwing the ball when Aaron was in the building. The comments did. In striking, but on the other hand, what's he going to say? Hey, this guy isn't as good as the last guy is.
Exactly. What's he supposed to say?
So,
Yeah. Like when they ask like Joe Flacco, are you elite? What's he supposed to say? You know what I mean? We want our guys to be confident. And, just like Jamar Chase, when he said, hey, who's when they said, Pat Mahomes was the best quarterback, Joe Burrow said that. He said, Pat who? Joe's the best quarterback. Well, Jamar's, that's his guy. Like, that's the guy throwing him the ball. So, of course, you're going to say whatever guy that's throwing you the ball, that way you can make your money, is the best guy. Tyreek Hill said Tua is the best quarterback he ever played with, or most accurate quarterback he ever played with. Well, of course he's going to say that, because guess what? Tua is the guy throwing the football. That's how he gets paid, is the guy throwing them the football. So, of course, he's going to say, yeah, this guy's special because I need the money. I can get the money. So.
Shout out to Asar Hansen. Good to see you in the comments. Asar hasn't been around as much because he's got stuff going on with his life, but always nice to see him in the chat. And before we get to the last question, Brian, had wondered who was a sneaky uh, Super Bowl contender for you. And I'd think about this a little bit because obviously you can't really qualify someone like the Eagles for that. So I guess the Bengals would be one for me. I
Is
don't
that
know if
that's
they
not really?
count as
But are
sneak.
they're not really the Bengals aren't a dark horse, right? Like so to me, a dark horse is like somebody we're just like kind of off the grid a little bit, you know.
Maybe Miami is one. I think they might be a year away, but at the same time, if Tua can stay healthy with the talent they've got,
Here,
it's
here's
possible.
here's here's a dark horse, and this might be a crackhead horse actually. So, but the team that comes to my mind right off the bat, because I think people will name the Jets, the people will name the Bills, the Chiefs, the Bengals. So I'm gonna take them out and just look at the lay of the land. Uh, Here's a dark horse team. The Jacksonville Jaguars. Year 3 with Trevor Lawrence. They added Calvin Ridley. They've added some nice pieces. There's the AFC dark horse. My NFC dark horse. Yeah, Baltimore counts. That counts as a dark horse. I like that. Yeah, they could do that too. I'm not buying the Brownies. I'm gonna say the Jacksonville Jaguars is my dark horse because they can win that division easily. In the AFC and the NFC, it's a crapshoot. But I'm going to say another dark horse. I think I want to say maybe I don't know, man. The NFC is just so wide open. Dallas could be. I think so, Scott. The Hawks. Bo, I almost said the Hawks, but I think the Rams. I'm gonna say the Rams. The Rams get it back. If everybody can stay healthy, Denver in the AFC too kind of makes sense. Bill, I'm gonna say the Rams in the NFC is a dark horse, a real dark horse MVP or Super Bowl because if Stafford can get healthy, they still got Cooper Kupp. They still got Aaron Donald still there. So I'm gonna say the Rams is a team nobody's thinking about that's got some talent. I know they traded Jalen Ramsey away, but they still got some. That was a team 2 years ago won the Super Bowl. Last year they just got riddled with injuries. So I'm gonna say Rams, Jacksonville as my 2 dark horses. This isn't official like who I'm thinking is gonna win. These are 2 teams I'm like, hey. It won't surprise, like just out of the box, dark horses here.
Yeah. So Alan has an interesting one. He's picking the Chargers if Kellen Moore opens up the playbook a little bit more, but that would be a dark horse. It would
impossible because they're the Chargers. They're gonna the Chargers gonna Chargers, so they're gonna be like 8-1 or whatever.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that would be interesting. I wouldn't be upset with it just for our good friend Rob Logan's sake. With what he's had to go through, he would deserve a little bit of fortune. So, yeah, we'll see how their season plays out. I think they will be one of the more interesting teams to watch one way or another. Now we've got a question from Paul from Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover, of course, a fellow Cowboys fan for Alan, and he's asking a question about the Cowboys. Let's see what he has to say.
Hey, afternoon, guys. Paul Redman here from Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. Dan, Bodkins, looking forward to your show this afternoon. I've got a question for you. If you don't know, I am a big Dallas Cowboys fan, and it seems as if the Philadelphia Eagles have won the off-season, won the division last year, got to the Super Bowl, beat by the Chiefs. My question is, what did Dallas need to do to overthrow Philadelphia and win the NFC East in 2023?
My first take on that is pick someone else to call plays would be my opinion. Defense, I think they're pretty good. Maybe I would have liked to see them add the complimentary pass rusher, but maybe a little bit more on the O line and um, a running back, a bit more depth. Not
There's
necessarily starting running back,
two
just
guys go
someone
get
to
right
run
now
with.
and put you over
Yeah,
the hump. Go get Dalvin Cook. Go get D Hop. That'll put you right. That'll put you past the Eagles. The defensively, they're already there. Defensively, they got the team. And Bo says not have to play in football in December. That's hilarious. Good one, Bo. Yeah, Scott, they can go get Dalvin Cook and you go get D Hop. They go get D Hop and you pair him with Brandon Cooks, CD Lamb, Gallup. Like, you telling me that that's not a team that's better than the Eagles? 1,001% it is at that point in time. Or they add Dalvin Cook. You add Dalvin, and then you got Tony Pollard. I think that's what the Cowboys could do. You go get those two guys, try to get them a contract, because Dalvin's better than Zeke at this point in time in their careers to me. So I would go Dalvin Cook. I would try to get Dalvin. You pair him up with Tony Pollard, or you get D Hop. I don't know why that. Like, I don't know if D Hop's. They need to get them on the wish list or phone list and be calling them, because those two guys make sense there. And that puts you, I think, if they go out and get either one of those guys, or if they got both of those guys somehow, that will put them number one in the NFC as far as favorites at that point in time.
yeah, I do agree with that. I said on the show last week, if they could somehow make both work, maybe get Dak to push some money down the road, that would completely change how we see this division. But even if they got Delvin, would they run the ball to make use of him, which is a problem with their play calling, but we will see. I do agree with you. They should try and make a run at both these players. Why wouldn't you? Or they could be a chance of mediocrity this season. So we'll see what they do.
Scott said it's going to cost McCarthy his job. I don't know, because he's a yes man. That's the thing, is Mike's a yes man. Jerry's going to come down and say, now, Mike, we need you to run the ball a little bit more. I paid Dak a lot of money. I need you to let him throw it all over the field, and you do those things. And Mike's just going to say, okay, boss, I'll get Dak. I'll let Dak throw the ball 50 times a day, whatever you say, boss. Because that's what Jerry wants to hear. He's not going to butt heads with Jerry, and he's just going to say yes. I mean, Mike McCarthy, what was his name? Jason Garrett was there for like 10 years, even longer, and was he much better than Mike McCarthy? Probably not. And he was there for 7 years or plus. So I think Mike could probably be there for just as long, as long as you say yes to whatever Jerry says.
Yeah, I agree. And go drinking with him on Fridays and smoke a cigar with him by all accounts. That's what you need to keep the job. So, yeah, a couple of interesting questions there. Great show again, I thought. And Nick, I just want to thank you for joining me today.
Always, brother. It's always a pleasure. And again, folks, we'll be back on Let's Talk Sports Show Sunday morning, 8 a.m. Happy Father's Day. A little 1 hour special. We're just going 1 hour so all the dads can wake up, drink coffee, have a few laughs with us before, they do the all the fun stuff with the fam. So join us Sunday morning, 8 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. Eastern time zone.
Yeah, everyone be sure to do so. Well worth the price of admission, and I want to thank everyone that commented today, asked questions as well. You really do make the show tick, so I want to thank you for that. I'll be back tonight at 5 Eastern time with Mr. Keith Engel from TGR Sports Talk. Be sure to check us out. And until next time, let's talk sport, fans. Thanks for watching.
See you guys.